The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
What is up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to the live. This is your brother Shamar, aka Oscar, with the Ancient Watchmen. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. I know that there's certain things that you're not allowed to say. There's certain things that certain words you're not allowed to use. And it's been like this for quite some time since George Bush and all the presidents that basically wanted to censorship the internet and YouTube and among other places. So yeah, welcome to live. What we're gonna talk about is basically like the censorship that is going on right now. And I know those who have been around with me for quite some time for the past 8 years. You guys know that I've been blocked left and right on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. And there was like one time I was like blocked for like what is it, 90 days. I was blocked for 90 days. But anyways, welcome to the live. Don't forget to share our videos, like our stuff if you guys like our content. Other than that, welcome to live. Let me share the video to my platforms, and I'll be back. So but stick around. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about censorship. We're gonna talk about what's going on with Kanye West. We're gonna talk about what's going on with Andrew Tate. If you guys never heard of Andrew Tate, you guys should look him up. Like the guy went viral, and then yeah, we're gonna dive into that a little bit and kind of explore what happened, so that you guys see what's going on. So I'm gonna give you guys context. All right, I'm gonna give you guys the context of what's going on. But yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. Let me share my link to my platforms on Facebook, and then I'll be back. Hold on. All right, I'm back. But anyways, yeah, welcome to those who are gonna tune in later on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. It's one of those things that a lot of people do not take seriously because it just sounds too much of a conspiracy. And so that kind of shows you like the I would say the level of blindness when it comes to the society, and how society is being built up, right? So yeah, before we dive deep into all that, I wanna read some of the things from this book. It's called the Mind Wars by Mary Jones and Larry Flaxman, who's been watching you from the shadows, right? So we're gonna kind of dive deep into the book a little bit, and then we're gonna move into like some of the things that are going on with like Andrew Tate and Julian Assange. A lot of people never heard about Julian Assange, and then and he is one of the guys that basically began to expose like the cabal and everybody else, and so it's 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 sad that when people brought this out, a lot of the Facebook basically what they did is that they canceled the hashtag Julian Assange, and Instagram canceled some of the hashtags as well because uh, uh, like the powers that be that control these system, the internet and everything else. And mind you, I'm talking about uh people that have like a lot of influence out there, like a lot of these brothers like Julian Assange, like Kanye West. You guys know what happened with him, like back in the early 2000s, and then there's like a lot of speculation, there's like a lot of conspiracy when it comes to that. A lot of people say, oh, Kanye West was cloned and all this other stuff, but I mean, who knows? Like there's a lot of speculation. There's like evidence when it comes to like cloning systems within like a lot of the famous people within Hollywood and all that technology. So I don't know, and so it's one of those things that later on we're gonna find out and be like, oh, those guys were right. Oh, those guys that were talking about these crazy conspiracies, well, they were right all along. Kind of like what happened 2 years ago. But anyways, so let me see. So yeah, so the matrix, so the matrix is like part of the system that has many layers, the schooling system, the things that we listen to, the music industry, the media, CNN, Fox, what else? You have pretty much all the media outlets are basically controlled by certain entities that I don't want to mention names, because then it's gonna happen what I'm probably gonna go through what Kanye West is going through, and what he's being accused of, which is you guys are gonna see in a minute later. But anyways, let me see. I'm gonna read these three quotes real quick, and then we're gonna move on. I'm gonna do some reading into this book called Mind Wars, and then after that, we're gonna dive into the book. It says, "Weapons of mass distraction, right? Weapons of mass distraction. The media, advertising, and social programming. That's kind of what we're gonna go into. Advertisement is fundamentally persuasion, and persuasion happens not to be any science, but an art, according to Williams Bernbach. Whoever controls the media controls the mind. Jim Morrison, right? So, and then the last one is the media's the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they can control the minds of the masses. That's Malcolm X. So, by those three powerful quotes, you guys are going to begin to see like the seriousness of this podcast. So, stick around though. All right. So, we're going to talk about weapons of mass destructions, right? Which is the destruction that's taking place out there in the TV systems, And I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you something really powerful later on, like in the middle of this podcast, and I'm gonna show you like the like the secret behind the TV systems and how they actually really work at a metaphysical level. So stick around, and then you'll see. But anyways, it says the average person sits in front of their television for approximately 34 hours a week. According to a Nielsen survey done in 2012, add to the time spent online or staring in a tablet or smartphone, and it's safe to say most Americans spend at least twice that amount glued to someone else's perceptions and ideas. The mass media is the biggest remote control ever built, and we all exist within the four-wall idiot box it controls. So now we're gonna dive into like what TVs are about and what they've been about since the start or the beginning of the invention of the TVs, right? What were they invented for? And so then after that, we can kind of like dive into the rabbit hole, and when we can talk about what would you call it, frequency, weapons and whatnot. And this is one of the reasons I kind of went a little bit deep like a while back ago in one of my podcasts, and my podcast was taken down because I was speaking about I was speaking about these topics about frequency technologies that already exist right as we speak. Manipulation of thought and behavior is part of our accepted daily lives. Each time we lock eyes on a news story, whether on YouTube, the screen, the tablet, or the old-fashioned way via a newspaper, we are buying into a perspective that may or may not be our own. We read stuff and readily accept it as reality, often without ever bothering to source the information or take time to research the subject more deeply. When we then pass on some of that information to others, and the viral effect can now, with the internet and cell phones, travel on a global scale in a matter of minutes. You see, so that's basically how a slander campaign can be created. Like anybody can slander my name and create pictures about me, or they can create videos about what you're saying, something that you're saying that is not, it's not in conformity with like the rules of the internet or YouTube or Facebook in the guidelines. So when you're found saying certain things that kind of like crowds the boundaries of their rules, the rules of the system, then that's basically what happens when people get banned, and people get like their names get slandered, and that's basically what happens. I mean, just look at one of the greatest examples is like Johnny Depp. You guys remember when Johnny Depp was like dealing with like that woman that supposedly accused him of what? Of like being a woman beater and like and all these other things, right? And so obviously you guys know what happened. You guys, if you guys follow the story, you guys know what happened. It was just like a slander campaign. But the whole point is that the media outlet basically created this slander campaign by continue to report on the same matter, repeating the same rhetoric. And so imagine that's just like the carnal aspect. That's like the natural aspect. Imagine the things that were hidden away from the human race. Which in a later podcast I'm gonna talk about, like like the ancient technologies that were hidden away from the human race, technologies that are coming out nowadays, thinking that this is like new technology that came out, and when it's not. And so it's like we can dive deep into that, but the whole point is that when we watch TV, like you're literally watching like someone else's ideas. And when you guys look at the whole thing about media, media is kind of like the old CNI, right? And the brainwashing systems to the people. But it's kind of like a device that manipulates like the consciousness of each individual that is watching, especially if you guys subscribe to like, oh, CNN and it's better than Fox, and Fox says it's better than CNN. And at the end of the day they all work for the same they all work from the same corporation. So I don't know what the difference is, and I don't know why people are trying to like root for their teams, like, oh, CNN, oh, Fox, because at the end of the day, both of them make good points, but at the same time, both of those corporations and all the corporations of the media system, Hollywood and radios and whatnot, even the frequency in which your music is being played is controlled by a certain group of individuals. And if you guys dive deep into the rabbit hole, you guys know who they are. So if you wanted to truly control the minds of the masses, what better way than buying time on the media outlets the masses most visit, right? And the most effective types of media most able to manipulate our behavior and change how we think. See that? And that's kind of like one of the arguments that what's his name? Edward Snowden was talking about when he began to talk about like, what's going on with like Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and Google and all these apps that are being created in order to gather our information so that they can create like an electronic archive of each of the persons that are signed up in these programs, or these codes, these social medias, like all of us basically, like even including myself. So it's like uh it's pretty wild. It's pretty
I
wild.
remember in the case of 2013 when I came forward and revealed evidence of mass surveillance, which the government of my country had constructed the apparatus of mass surveillance, an entire scheme that spanned the globe, with the participation of Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and of course the United Kingdom. And when the newspapers of all of these countries began publishing these things, one of the papers who held the archive of material originally included The Guardian, was headquartered in the United Kingdom, still is. But they were approached by the British state, who said, okay, you've had your fun, you've done enough, now it's time to stop. And they had to send their archive of material away to the United States, to a partner publication, because they no longer believed that they were safe to continue publishing. And they were right. Agents of the British state went to The Guardian. They destroyed their laptop computers. They've got it on film, putting angle grinders to computer chips, trying to erase any trace that these stories had been written from within the confines of the newsroom. Now, Julian was not deterred by that, and he never would be. When you perform the level of surveillance against a person that has clearly been performed and is being performed, even today, certainly in prison, against Julian Assange, you understand at least something about that character. You understand what the breaking point is. You know what it'll take to make them bend. And he didn't bend. He will break before he does. He has consistently and continuously dared to speak the unspeakable in the face of opposition, in the face of power. And that is a remarkable and rare thing. That is the reason that Julian Assange sits in prison today. If you love the truth, as I think everyone here does, you wouldn't be listening to this, you wouldn't be watching this, you wouldn't be participating in this, you wouldn't care about this unless something in you told you that something important was happening here. And if you do care, as I think you do, you are a criminal of the same category as Julian Assange. In the eyes of the state, what differentiates you, what divides you from him, is only the degree. We share the same guilt. Each of us share in the crime, and we are unindicted co-conspirators in his quest to raise a lantern in the halls of power. Each of us shares in the forbidden desire to see justice done not merely to the instruments of these darkest moments of the human condition that we've heard about all day here, torture, extrajudicial killings, aggressive war, but to see justice done to their architects. Each of us will also share, and to me it will happen without the faintest regret, in his ultimate fate, if we do not stop what is happening now. What is happening to Julian Assange is a crime, and he must be freed. If we're going to free the world, we have to free Assange.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys context later, but I just wanted to bring Edward Snowden to tell you guys, because he used to work for the NSA and the CIA as an informations technician, or informations engineer, or what would you call it, computer analyst. These are guys that basically are able to tap into your phone and record conversations while you're asleep, meanwhile your phone is turned off, things like that, kind of like they can do cyber espionage and all that stuff. So he was an advisor for the CIA, so he was like a heavy hitter. So he became the whistleblower way back in the day, I think, or early 2000s, and exposed what was going on during the George Bush administration and all the way down when the government began to like do these experiments to like spy on their own citizens, which is completely goes against their own constitution anyway. So that's kind of the context a little bit of what Edward Snowden was talking about. And so he was talking about Assange, Julian Assange. We're gonna talk about him later in a minute. But before we kind of dive and go in that direction, let me read this real quick, right? In 2012, the megalith known as Facebook did something quite nasty to its followers. I don't know if you guys were aware of that. That was like, when basically they did an experiment. It's gonna explain to you in a minute. It says 700,000 unwitting users were basically utilized as guinea pigs in a social experiment that allowed Facebook to manipulate emotions and emotional responses without telling anyone it was doing so. Facebook data scientists set out to see if they could influence the emotional state of site users and prompt them to post more positive or more negative content using an algorithm that automatically omitted certain content that was either positive or negative. And so this is where basically the censorship began. So early 2000, you guys began. If you guys were posting certain topics that went against the status quo, you post was taken down. You guys were flagged and sometimes blocked for like 7 days or like 3 days or like 30 days, like me. And so that's basically when it began. Facebook researchers manipulated users for 1 week, later publishing their data in the March issue of the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. But once the secret experiment got out, people screamed about the blatant invasion of privacy and manipulative, deceitful tactics of this experiment, even causing some of the scientists behind the study to apologize for their less than ethical methodology. Privacy lawyers and organizations came forward, admonishing Facebook for violating the rights of the users who were never told about the research. See that? The forces behind Facebook understood how easily is how easily it was to influence the emotions of users with the very little work and all of it under the radar of the users. Subconsciously, these users were being swayed, even if they weren't consciously aware of anything different on the site during the week of the study. You see that? So they were experimenting on the minds, trying to manipulate the emotional state of each of the people that were using Facebook back in 2012. And so the research is there. And so that kind of shows you, it gives you a glimpse of like what these technologies are doing even further than we're not aware of, things that we're not being told, things that we haven't found out about because we're too busy and distracted through other mediums, whether it be Netflix, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and whatnot. And I'm not saying like all these sites are evil because I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. But what I'm saying is that uh, like the awareness of it is where the power lies. Because once we are aware that that we're sinking ourselves into this cyberspace now, and it's one of the reasons why I'm probably gonna be stepping down or stepping away for a little while because I want to focus on other stuff in real life concerning among other things that you probably guys are gonna find out later. But social programming, that's basically what's taking place. Shalom sis, welcome to the live, welcome to the live. Yeah, so we're talking about like censorship and what's going on the net, and what's going on with these algorithms, artificial intelligence, the CIA, the NSA, the privacy acts that were passed as laws during the Bush administration and all went down. So social programming, also known as social engineer, These tactic of politics, religion, and corporate consumerism, and education and academia involves literally engineering the behavior, the attitudes, and desires of large groups of people. Real social engineering is done using specific scientific methods of analysis and decision making, often for more academic purposes. But social programming goes on every day and in ways that that are not necessarily meant for the greater understanding of humanity. We interview Ron Patton, executive director director of Paranoia TV and owner of Paranoia store in San Diego, about the art of social programming in society. What exactly is social programming, right? Social engineer within the context of mind control is a way to gradually and subtly manipulate, coerce, or influence a segment of the population. This is most effectively achieved on the subconscious level. You see that? It can also be referred to as a form of mass mind control programming. You see that? And then this is basically, if we want to go dive deep into the rabbit hole, then we can go into the WAN towers. Then we can go into 5G technology. Then we can dive deep into like um, genetic engineering, genetic manipulation, genetic editing technologies that's already out there, you know, and then we can begin to see like what's really coming to the planet Earth, like in the future, in the near future, in the not so far future, bro. Okay, so welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to live. Gather around. Peace, everybody. Peace. Welcome to the live. So yeah, so that's social programming, you know, and the social programming is it's not just like, you know, these TV systems, you know, that came out, you know, way back in the 1900s, and you know they become better and better and better, and now they have even artificial intelligence behind TV systems, and they can record what you're talking about, even while your TV is off, you know. And it sounds like, oh, you know, it's like, oh, too much of a conspiracy theory, you know. But I mean, it's what's out there, bro. It's like it's undeniable, you know. And I'm not just like, you know, babbling about shit that I don't know what I'm talking about, or like I'm just babbling just to babble, you know. It's like just information that I'm bringing out that you guys can like research for yourselves as well. So that's basically social programming. Programming. What entities are behind these, and what might their motives be? Advertisers, advertisers, media, politicians, evangelists, and salespeople are the primary entities behind social engineering methodologies and techniques and technologies. Their motivation is to attain a desired outcome whereby the individual or collective group's opinions or decision making's ability is altered for the benefit of the entity and not necessarily for those being subjected to those psychological and sociological manipulations. You see that? Bro, it's pretty wild. I know it's pretty wild, right? The media appears to have an extremely significant influence in reshaping our thinking, since most television is such a vital part of our society. We usually look to these disseminating information in the media in a professional manner or capacity as purveyors of truth. You see, and so then we can begin to see kind of like how these what would you say, how these social engineering, how these social manipulation in the mind and the spirit and what we think and how we view the world, it's been like conditioning the human race since the invention of the printing press, since the invention of the TV system, since the invention of the radio waves in order to read, I mean hear radio, you know. So even like I said, even to like what we listen to, the type of music that we're accustomed to listen, it's actually tuned in into the 440 hertz frequency, in which when we listen to this type of music under that vibration and frequency, then you begin to experience anxiety, because what that frequency is doing is basically reorganizing your genetic makeup at a quantic level, and this is why you get stressed out, you guys get depressed, you guys get anxious, because of the type of music that is out there first and foremost, and also like the frequencies that are being used against the human race. So the most prevalent would be television via subliminals. Anything being projected onto a screen or from a computer monitor would also have the same effect. This form of subtle stimuli works below the conscious level, which is the subconscious. This is why when you guys see like the McDonald's sign, the minute you see the McDonald's sign, which is like that M, the letter M supposedly, uh, you don't have to read the rest of the rest of the sign, which says McDonald's. All you have to do is just look at the sign M, and you immediately would think about what you immediately your mind would immediately take you to a hamburger that you guys are eating French fries, and you know that's talking about McDonald's. So that's a subliminal. Why? Because that symbol right there, it's called a sigil when it comes to like when you guys, if you guys dive into the magical arts, if you guys do like elemental magic and all that stuff. Well, one of the ways that you guys can manipulate energy, right, or element, or you can like manifest certain things is through sigils or symbol. That's why like symbology, right? Within symbology is hidden the esoteric knowledge of life and creation. But anyways, so you look at the sign M and you know immediately that's talking about McDonald's food, right? That's basically what's engraved in your mind. So that's how it works. And so that's basically how they target the subconscious, right? The subconscious is basically like the mind, which is 90% of the 90% of your being and how you act and how you guys exist is being driven by the subconscious mind, the things that you're not aware of. This is why it's important to like to know yourself. It means to like be aware of like your own bullshit, our own shortcomings and whatnot. When we make a mistake, like we say, hey, my bad, I apologize. There's a lot of times where I've been able to humble myself down because I know I was wrong. So um anything being projected onto a screen, such as a movie or from a computer monitor, would also produce the same emotional response. Over a sustained period of time, it can create an artificial reality and thus have a profound impact upon society's ability to objectively rationalize. You see that? And this is why when we like come out into like the streets, or like we do interviews in the streets, or like I talk to people in the streets like in real life, like there's a lot of stuff they're not aware of. There's like a lot of stuff they're not aware of. It's like they live in a different reality. Why? uh I mean, the social programming that takes place when we watch telenovelas, soap operas, Netflix series. Now mind you, like I love Netflix, and the way I watch TV or Netflix is like I choose a series that I'm gonna like. I know that I'm gonna find jewels within them, right? I know I'm gonna find like jewels, or like, because I told you guys, they put these things, they put the truth in the movies. Watch. And I was watching like one of my favorite series that I just started watching is it's called The Blacklist, right? My bad. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it's called a blacklist, and so it's basically a spoilers alert. Spoiler alert. So in case you guys want to watch it, so spoiler alert. So it's basically like dealing with the CIA and the NSA and the FBI and what they do in the secret and all that stuff. So they're literally like showing you what's going on when it comes to a lot of these really powerful entities like the CIA and the NSA, right? Now check this out. Check this out.
Vacation ever since the SEC started its investigation. I've never met the man, but his housekeeper is an old friend. Please. Do you have any idea how much the U.S. government has spent on signals intelligence in the past year? No. Your country has become a nation of eavesdroppers. Frequency domains, triangulation, satellites, crypto, whatever. You've forgotten that what matters most is human intelligence, alliances, relationships, seduction. Madeline Pratt is a
Yeah, so that was like the blacklist in one of the episodes. I've caught like a lot of stuff that they've been saying that is basically what's going on in real life. Neuro linguistic programming is another example, right? So now we went from social engineering, social programming. Now we're going to talk about a little bit of neuro linguistic programming, which is also referred as the NLP. It's basically a neurological model encompassing primarily language or linguistics and behavioral patterns. When this process is being used by a skilled NLP practitioner on an unwanting audience, it can make those receiving the multiple stimulus think and do things they normally would not do on a conscious level. You guys know what I'm talking about? And so this is one of those things that kind of makes you wonder, because there's been like a lot of examples of like people that commit certain crimes saying like, oh yeah, I just went blank, and then all of a sudden I heard a voice say such and such and such. And so there's cases like that. There's out there. I'm not making this up. You guys can go and research yourselves. Do a search on YouTube. There's like actual cases of like people like that, actual criminals that have said certain, things down those lines. So it's like whoa. We need to be more educated about the possible ramifications of social engineering. Thus, we can more readily discern how it's used and how to overcome its potential detrimental effects. Right? Of course, some people are more susceptible to this form of programming and must take appropriate countermeasures. Individually and collectively, we need to be more strong mentally by developing a healthy and balanced lifestyle to enhance our critical thinking and mental processing, right? And this is why it's important to, like, when you guys know yourselves, you guys are conscious to, like, to know yourselves. It's not like a lot of people think it's like some mystical thing that you have to experience. And although it is in a certain level, at a certain level it is, but primarily is to like understand and be conscious of like this life, right? Because this life is not just about going to work, coming home, showering, shitting, wiping your butt, and then washing your hands, go eat, sit down, watch TV, go to sleep, wake up, do the same bullshit time and time again. So like, is that life? Like, is that you? Is that how? Is that like? I know that's part of the societal structure, right? But is that what life is about? You know? And then how much you guys spend working for a company or for a place, And now I'm not saying don't work, because if you don't work, you guys don't eat. That's sadly that's how this system is built. And so that's kind of what we're gonna kind of dive into a little bit more as well. But thanks for sticking around. Welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to live. We're not even started, but yeah. So we're gonna talk about Edward Snowden. We're gonna talk about Julian Assange, because that's kind of like the censorship that began to take place, because there was this there was this name, this man that was running WikiLeaks. Now WikiLeaks was like a place where like there was a bunch of basically like secret documents that were like leaked to the web, to the www, over the internet all throughout the world, about the atrocities that like certain powers that be were doing against other countries out in the Middle East. And there was like a lot of videos, a lot of conversations, a lot of paperwork that was like leaked out, because like there was his name was Julian Assange. Julian Assange was the name of the guy that was running like that database in which he was exposing the powers that be and the atrocities and the injustice that they were doing, going back to the George Bush administration all the way down to Obama, right? So I'm gonna kind of give you a little glimpse of what I'm talking about. So that's him right there in the embassy, right? So that's the crimes that he's being accused of, you know, which is conspiring to hack government computers, espionage, and the publication of classified documents relating to the Iraq and Afghanistan war. See, and so yeah, so and again, that's basically what the government was trying to do, is trying to slander his name, saying that he abused women or sexually assaulted women, and that wasn't the but yeah, it's pretty wild.
Obviously, it's been very difficult to see Julian here actually make a case of this scale, having access to
Yeah, man. So if you guys are not if you guys never heard of Julian Assange, that was like big news way back in the day, like, you know, 2012, 2013, back early 2000s. There was a lot of leakage of a lot of atrocities the United States government committed against those people over there that were actually innocent. And you guys know the story of the weapons of mass destruction that were never found. And so when a lot of people were speaking against all these atrocities, all this injustice being done by the military complex of the Western worlds, right? A lot of them were silenced. And so Julian Assange is one of them. He was being sought by the CIA in order to kill him, right? The CIA was seeking for his life, his neck. And so Julian Assange had to like flee and seek asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Gave him asylum for like 5 years, but then the CIA and NSA and the United States government was pressuring the Ecuadorian government to release Julian Assange because Julian Assange was basically in fear for his life, because he didn't want to be like extradited to the United States, because the minute he did, because you guys know what happened, he knew that he was going to be dead. The minute he stepped into the United States, the CIA and the NSA had like, you know, certain like a seat prepared for him, especially for Julian Assange. And even until this very day, we don't know what's going on. And this is basically when he was apprehended, and the Ecuadorian government gave him away to the intelligence of London, and then later on extradited by the intelligence of the CIA to the United States to be tried for his crimes. But wait a minute, what crimes did he committed? All he was trying to do was show you guys what the government was doing unjustly against other people that had nothing to do with the war on terror and all that stuff, like the terrorist attacks and all that stuff. They didn't have nothing to do with that. Yet a lot of people that were innocent died, right? And so those are the atrocities, the footage, the contracts that were made, everything came to the light, and that's why Julian Assange was being persecuted. That's him being extradited by the British police and intelligence agents as well.
The reason why Ecuador has terminated the asylum is because of the repeated breakage on the part of Mr. Assange of his obligations under the asylum treaty norms. During the time that Mr. Assange has remained in the embassy for almost 7 years, we have respected every single right he has.
The Moreno government in Ecuador has been all too willing to help out by pushing Julian Assange out of the embassy. This attempt to have this done has been escalating in the last few weeks and even days. And even last week we heard that it was, from very reliable sources, on Friday that it was imminent that he would be evicted from the embassy and arrested.
The issue of extradition safeguards is a concern to many people. There are many aggrieved families in the United Kingdom and in other countries in Europe that are struggling for justice.
En la línea de nuestro compromiso respetuoso de los derechos humanos y el derecho internacional, solicité a Gran Bretaña la garantía de que el señor Assange no sería entregado en extradición a un país en el que pueda sufrir torturas o pena de muerte. El gobierno británico lo ha confirmado por escrito, en cumplimiento de sus propias normas.
Yeah, so that's the reality right there. That's what happened. All he did was leak the information of what really went down during the war of against in Iraq and Afghanistan, those places, and how a lot of people were basically being slaughtered unjustly by the powers that be. And Julian Assange, all he did was to expose them, right? But Alicia, hey, welcome to the live. Shibru, Faithish, Yahweh, welcome to the live, everybody. David Long. Yeah, this social engineering has been going on for a long time, exactly. So and it has been like, and it has been in a stronger way nowadays because of social media and the internet, which is able to propagate an ideology like worldwide and make it go viral, you know. So that's basically what Assange was saying, you know. If you can, if wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by the truth, and that's all what he was doing. That's all he was doing, you know, telling the world the truth about what happened. And everything that he did, which is like expose a lot of these atrocities and injustice done by the military complex, was done by free. He never charged none of it, right? And he's saying that Facebook, Google, Yahoo are allowing the CIA to access user data via a specially designated interface. Facebook is the most appalling spying machine that has ever been invented by Julian Assange. Now, uh, he was accused back in those days, because I follow the story. A lot of people wasn't even aware of him, but I follow his story. But he was basically saying, like, you guys are accusing me of sharing like classified information or whatever the like, when you guys are basically kind of like doing the same thing, and then one of his arguments was that, let me see. Yeah, this is one of his quotes, and it's very powerful, right? He's saying the overwhelming majority of information that is classified is to protect political security, not 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 national security. You see that? Why? Because like this guy knew what they were doing from the inside out. Okay, that's basically what's going on, and like the powers that be, like the really powerful entities, like the military complex, and all the intelligence community. You guys know what I'm talking about? They're the ones that basically were trying to kill him because of what he was saying. And then when he was in the embassy, like he was sending a message to like the entire world, and nobody wanted to listen, and it's kind of sad. It makes me sad to see that humanity has become so numb to the truth, right? Humanity has become so numb to the truth that whenever like the speaker of truth is speaking, like you guys don't want to listen, right? Because it goes back to the programming that's been taking place, the disinformation programs that are out there. The days when I could read and speak and organize to defend myself, my ideals and my people are over, and my people are over until I am free. Everyone else must take my place. You see that? That's when he was going to prison. So it's pretty wild stuff, man. It kind of like looks like a movie, but it's really not. This is real life. And as a matter of fact, they did a movie. It's called the Fifth State. If you guys ever watch the movie, bro, you guys gonna see like the things that these men went through in order to like bring out the truth, and it's always like this for the speakers of truth out there. It's always been like this, that whenever we speak truth, we're always gonna get persecuted. So the movie's name is The Fifth State. It came out in 2013. See that? And I'm gonna read this last one, and we're gonna move on. It says, every time we witness an injustice and do not act, we train our character to be passive in its presence, and thereby eventually lose all ability to defend ourselves and those we love. You see that? And he was basically referring to like he was referring to what he was saying when he was exposing the military complex and the intelligence agencies all throughout the Western society, and the atrocities and injustices that they were committing. And because he was speaking about it, he was bringing out the information. He was silenced. He was taken off Twitter. He was taken off Facebook. He was taken off pretty much everywhere. The CIA and the NSA and the government of the United States was basically trying to kill him. So he fled, and obviously you guys know what happened. Now he's back in the States, and nobody knows what happened. He probably most likely be dead. Who knows? I haven't heard from nothing from Julian Assange in quite some time. So um, it says the power of people speaking up and resisting together terrifies corrupt and undemocratic powers. You see that? Which is what's going on today, anyways, all throughout the world. It's like check this out, bro. It says truth never damages a cause that is just. And in the background, you see like the helicopters, the Black Hawk helicopters, basically like aiming their own guns, the guns against like innocent bystanders, just like that. And so he revealed all the footage that like the CIA and NSA had secret, and so that's why like the CIA and the United States government was trying to cover it up, and the English government as well. And so that's why he was saying the truth never damages a cause that is just. So if the cause to go and liberate the Afghanistani people and the Iraqi people was a just cause, like why are you guys hiding all this other stuff? you know and so that right there goes into like many levels in this world, like when we speak the truth, when it comes to like religion and the gods that people serve and the god of this world. And we begin to like dive deep into all that stuff, like people get offended, you know because it's better to live a lie than to like live in the truth nowadays. Oh man, this is another powerful one too. Let me show you this. Let me show you this one. It says it is impossible to correct abuses unless we know that they're going on. If we are to produce a more civilized society, a more just society, it has to be based upon the truth. See that? And that's all he was doing, bro. All what Julian Assange was doing is basically bring out the truth to the populace, to the entire world, so that the world will see what's going on behind the scenes and who's really trying to cover up like the atrocities. Yet you have these police of the world going all over the world saying, "Oh no, that's wrong. You can't do that. No, no, that's wrong. You can't do that." But they themselves were doing it. Were doing it, right? And so that's basically what Assange was doing, and there's no crime against the truth. But again, since we live in a world that is not ran by the true creator, well, this world is being ruled by the rulers of this world, the archons, ancient, very powerful entities that are able to manipulate the human race at a frequency levels. Influence in the mind, influence in the spirit. So that's why like certain structures in society has to be kept in order so that the masses will not be able to rise up in frequency and be able to attain the higher stages of consciousness and be aware of what's going on, right? Because what the powers that be want us is to like keep us in a state of slavery, in a state of darkness, whether it be spiritual, emotional, psychological, physically, mentally, and whatnot, right? And so that's why they're able to control like various aspect of the societal structure, right? Whatever that means, whether it be TV, entertainment, schooling systems, work, corporations, da 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 da. The same bullshit. But that's the place that we're in. We're in the we're it's all over the world. It's not just here. So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's gonna change or not. Obviously, like the world is like heading to a shift. There's a shift taking place. I don't know if you guys feel it. I don't know if you guys know about it. I don't know if you guys sense it. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. But there's a shift taking place as we speak, and that shift is taking place in many layers. Okay, it's many layers, and so I mean, you guys saw what happened with the artificial intelligence, and now that she's conscious, she's aware. Man, man, man. Control of the masses is the best kind of control to have, and the use of a specific techniques to condition and reshape public attitude is is open season to those who understand the methods. This is this is what makes behavioral engineering of the masses so desirable. Uh, this is what makes behavioral engineering of the masses so desirable to authoritarian governments and corporations eager to make massive profits at the expense of the little guy. The little guy. A totalitarian governing body can engineer public favor even as a democratic society initiates a popular war on drugs, quote unquote, or support for a real war to the war that the country itself has nothing to do with. You see that? Hence Iraq and Afghanistan. We might even call the Crusades and the Inquisition successful social programming campaigns. Even Hitler's ability to control the people he ruled over and get them to accept the most heinous of behaviors is programming at its most powerful and effective, right? Because, I mean, you guys know what happened with the Germans. They were able to basically brainwash like the entire German population to the point that basically they accepted the norms of what the Nazis were doing, which basically like killing a lot of gypsies that die in the furnaces over there. You guys don't know? It was like thousands upon thousands of gypsies that died in those furnaces, right? But nobody speaks about that. Everybody wants to speak about the Jewish Khazar people, right? The Jewish over there, but nobody wants to speak about the gypsies, you know, that actually die in the furnace by the thousands. That story is basically hidden away. Again, well, we're talking about censorship, right? So that information has been censored. So it's like we can just go into layers and layers and layers. So yeah. So for those who are not aware, I'm actually reading from this book. It's called Mind Wars by Mary D. Jones and Larry Flaxman, right? And it's really a great book. It's kind of like it breaks down like how a lot of the systems work today. You know, all of them, like psychological warfare, digital technologies, AI systems. What else? Mind control, social engineering, transhumanism, and biohacking, which is basically hacking your systems at a genetic level, cells, your neurological system being hacked, this and that and the third. So that's kind of like kind of the book goes into a little bit. Yeah, I'm actually busy right now. Yeah, yeah. Hold on, give me a minute. All right. It was a neighbor talking about her package. I don't have any package. But anyway, so yeah, so in mass mind control through networking and television, quote unquote, writer researcher Alex Ansari looks at the role of media in modern times in our free and civilized society, pointing to the advent of television first, then radio as ways of brainwashing a population. He writes, "This isn't to say that all things on TV are geared towards brainwashing you. They're not, but most of the programming on television today is run and programmed by the largest media corporations that have interest in defense contracts, such as Westinghouse (CBS) and General Electric (NBC). This makes perfect sense when you see how slanted and warped the news is today. And what do they promote? Fear mongering agendas, fear about warfare, atomic bombs being dropped, and this and that and the third. So imagine if they're able to sell that to that idea and reshape how people think when it comes to war, what people think about other people. Like the media can destroy a person in one night just by social engineering the minds of people and how they view society or how they view like a certain topic or a certain individual, right? And that's what happened with Andrew Tate. He was banned from all social media because he was like speaking against the status quo 2 years ago against Kobe Bryant, the jab. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So he was speaking against the powers that be, the status quo, against all the things that they were doing. And so he was banned, right? But I mean, where is the crime? I mean, the research shows what happened. The research shows who was lying. The research shows who was trying to manipulate people into fear mongering ideas, right? So he was banned, man, and so that's kind of like what I wanted to do these podcasts because it's not just like the big dogs out there, the guys that have like millions of followers and stuff, thousands upon thousands of followers, but it's like all the people, regular people out there in the world and whatnot. They cannot voice their their thoughts and what they think because they're gonna get banned. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna show you like one of kind of like give you a glimpse, a little bit of background on what Andrew Tate was pushing out way back in the day.
We're living in a world now where slowly, little by little, every choice we have is being removed to the point where in 200 years, take the injection, here's your microchip, boom, you're not allowed in this area, this area, this area, scan your microchip when you need food, bang, you're the slave class, you're the ruling class. This is where we're getting. No one else seems to see it, everyone else thinks I'm crazy. We are basically, the world is splitting in between the elites and the slaves. You need to wake up.
So, how is he wrong? Like, where is the wrong in what he said? Basically, that was kind of like the majority of his content was like exposing the powers that be, the elite, the ones that are basically behind the scenes. You know who they are, the Club of Rome, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. The names, like the other names that you guys know. So he was bringing all that out. He was exposing how like the monetary system works and all this other stuff, and then he was banned from it, right? Because they hate the truth. They don't. What they want, what the powers that be want, they want like a slave force that cannot question nothing at all. Not the religion, not the powers that be, not the party. It's gonna come to that. It's gonna come to the day. It's being coming along in that aspect, right? I mean, you guys can see like all the legislation that was passed, in this last decade, in these last two decades, where certain speech modalities you cannot say certain things, otherwise that's not political correct, and all this other bullshit that like people try to like say, well, that's not political correct, and and that's also goes into like the transgender movement too. Like, you know what I'm talking about when they talk about, oh, you know, call me she, he, or it, or whatever. Like my pronouns are this and that and the third. Like, bro, you see what I'm saying? So it's like everybody's fucking like lost in their little shit about, oh, you know, if you don't call me the correct word, like, oh, you know, and then other people like crying about their political stance and their, you know, they're puppets that are, you know, basically, you know, being used by the powers that be. They're not the real powers, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's just a lot of layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of this information that's being like hidden away. They try to shut people down. They try to obscure the truth. They try to like censor you if you're like speaking too much. You know, if you're like exposing too much, like you get silenced. Whether you be a political figure, whether you be an actor, an actress, a rapper, this and that and third, and, you know, and then we can go into like, you know, the rappers making contracts with these devils, you know, like the entities, you know, like making demonic contracts with demons and whatnot and whatever the like. So it's like it's not far-fetched, you know. We live in a, this is why the entire world is basically full of unclean birds. You guys know what I'm talking about?
The world up until this point was based on freedom. How they advertised you to be a good slave was they would give you some freedom. And when I say slave, I use that word particularly because a slave used to work his ass off and he would get food and a house in return. And 99% of people out here, my friend, are working their asses off. They can buy food and a house. That's it. Most people are still slaves. They would tell you you're going to be a slave, but you'll be free at least. You know, you can do what you want. You can think what you want. You can say what you want. You can walk around outside, look at the trees. You're a slave, but you're free. Freedom, freedom, freedom. And what happened when they did this, something changed. The internet came. People start to talk. People start to think. People start to realize how money's made. People start to realize it's all a scam. Cryptocurrency was invented. Now you have Bitcoin, which is surpassing the global reserve currency. We don't need banks anymore. We don't need the IMF anymore. People are starting to talk. People have elected Trump, a man who's not bought and controlled by the establishment. People are starting to actually get their minds right. So the people in charge are like, oh, fuck, we're losing control. We no longer control the money. We no longer control who's in charge of each country. Oh, fuck, we've got to put an end to this. We can no longer base our societies on freedom. We must base our societies on safety. You can't think for yourself. We can't put these videos on YouTube because it's fake news and it's dangerous. You can't go outside because the virus and it's dangerous. You can't travel in between countries without that injection because it's dangerous. This is no longer about freedom, my friends. This is about your safety. They're going to take all your freedom away and instead they're going to give you a nice big helping of safety. And you're going to take it and go, oh, at least I'm safe. You were safer before. You were safer before because now the government can arrest you for saying something they don't like. Because now you're spreading fake news. You were safer when you could have an opinion.
So now you guys kind of like understand why I'm talking about this censorship, right? Because like the guy had like millions of like followers, right? He still does. Like even though he's banned from like all social medias now, mind you, you can download a video from him, but like he himself, like him having an account on the social media platforms, he's not allowed. He's actually banned from YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Bro, like even like when he when the like now mind you, like this was 2, 3, 4 years ago when he like began to like go hard like on the cabal, and that's when basically Donald Trump was basically he found himself in a war, in a secret war against the cabal. Nobody knew about this shit, bro. Like there was a lot of information that came out like by Q. You guys know what I'm talking about? Q brought that out. And so there was just like a lot of things that were down during the pandemic, man. It was kind of like, it was so surreal, bro, to like be experiencing like the quarantine all over the world, and like to be witnessing like the UFO activity phenomenon at a higher rate all over the world, bro, all over the world. And like how the beaches of the world were basically closed off, and like a lot of people wonder why, because there's like another conspiracy behind why the beaches were shut down during the pandemic, you know. And you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, the water could be contaminated, and then the water can like travel to other countries and like spread out the whatever, you know, the bullshit. And you know, that wasn't the case. You know, it was actually something else that I'm not even gonna mention here, bro, because it's actually crazier than what it sounds. But so yeah, so then all of a sudden, like, Q began to like leak a lot of the information from the elites, a lot of the Hollywood actors and actresses, producers, music producers, government officials and stuff. They like, we know what happened. Like, a lot of people know what some of these people did until this very day. And so this is why you see like certain shows that were canceled, like, I'm not gonna name names, but you know what happened. So and so that's basically what, like Andrew Tate was saying, like all this other conspiracy, like everything, like every single layer of that conspiracy was brought out. It was disseminated, and like the powers that be found out, like, oh shit, like he's talking too much, he's too much information, brother. Pick, blocked. And that's basically why he was banned. But um, these conflicts of interest in media ownership now extend to political influence, with conservatives and liberals joking for ownership of cable news stations by which they can spread their influence. Ansari goes on to say that radio also contributes to this brainwashing. Listen to political talk radio, and it's clear that your mind is considered an empty vessel in which the talk show host desire access to filling. Ansari points. Now, when we talk about Ansari, is Alex Ansari, which is the writer of the book Masked Mind Control Through Network Television. That's the book. So he points to actual changes in the brain that occur when we watch television, which is kind of like the zombie brain. It changes that act almost like an opiate and make us addicted to the tube, but also to the many methods utilized to manipulate us into consciously accepting propaganda and disinformation as a fact. In fact, he states, quote, the techniques are increasing in their sophistication over time as the mind scientists that serve the empire continue to discover scientific breakthroughs as to how the human brain functions, learns, retains information, and behaves. See, and this is all a quest to basically like enter into the Holy of Holies. The Holy of Holies, according to the temple knowledge, is like your brain, is the neurological network. You know what I'm saying? This is why you have Elon Musk, and that technology is gonna be like passed down to the government, which they're gonna be able to like, really like literally tap into your brain now, because now if you guys have like the neural link installed in your brain, now you have like an interface that's gonna be basically the interface with the neurological systems of your own body, of your own brain, of your own biology. And so now you have like a middleman, and that middleman, which is the interface, right, which is the hardware that's installed on your head, that's going to be the middle ground. That's going to be the middleman in which communication is going to be take place from the outside in, and that's how they're going to access your brain. So that's basically the whole battle. The whole battle is to like access the Holy of Holies, the most holiest place in which the high priest was the only one allowed to go into, except the kings of Judah. But yeah. So and then obviously, if you are a temple of God, right? You're a temple of God. That means you are the high priest of your own temple. So how do you guard your mind? How do you guard yourself from like this technological digital frequency manipulation, radio waves that try to like plant thoughts and ideas in your brain? Therefore, the more we learn about the brain, the more we open the door for its manipulation and control by others. Yet, as Ansari warns, quote, we are given the world reality through a screen, some ink, or radio waves. The truth is hiding in plain sight, end quote. See that? And obviously, like the media and some other people out there too, They're pretty good at using ways to distract, people or minds and stuff. You have promoting nationalism, right? When something happens that threatens our nation, we jump on the patriotic bandwagon to the point of supporting wars that we cannot afford or getting behind political and religious movements that promote intolerance. You see that? Kind of like what happened with like George W. Bush, and when he went to war with Iraq. You guys remember that? You guys know what happened, right? You guys remember what happened in 9/11? Well, I'm not gonna say too much, but the research shows that you guys know what happened. So, I'm not gonna go into details, but you guys know what happened. They were blaming other individuals for 9/11. They were blaming other individuals for the Pentagon, but the reality is that something else happened, right? And so that's kind of like one of those things, promoting nationalism, right? Wagging the dog. How do you get people to stop focusing on a critical issue? By presenting them with an issue that gets more news time, even if it's trivial or sensationalistic. Someone having an affair, political scandal, high-powered divorce, distract them with dirty laundry. You see that? So you guys see that all the time. I mean, what happened with like Will Smith? You guys know what happened, right? So all that was a distraction. So whenever you see like sensational news, right? Oh my gosh, like Brad Pitt marry like, I don't know, whatever. Whenever you see shit like that, just know that you guys are being distracted. You guys are being lied to. There's like some other real shit going on in the serious stuff, in the serious table, while you guys are being distracted by like Rihanna and Brad Pitt and all this other bullshit and Will Smith and whatever she did and whatever bullshit they're on. I don't give a fuck. So that's basically what's going on. The wagging dog. That's how they do. That's how they do it. Scapegoating, looking for the weakest opponent and focus on him or her. The weak link in the chain is enough to break the chain. You see that? So that's kind of like what they do. They create slander campaigns against other people in order to destroy their character against other people by posting things that he didn't post, say things that he didn't say, post videos that he wasn't never there. Why? Because now they have technology that they can they can actually like make it appear that you were there. Like I'm gonna show you. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Shout out to Gene Carlos Velez. He's the one that sent it to me. So let me see. What's that?
Hey, look at Putin's new general, bro. who you?
Oh, there it is.
Прошу вас принести присягу. Заступаючи.
Watch this, bro.
Everybody hurry up. Прошу вас принести присягу.
Watch the face. Watch the face.
Заступаючи на посаду президента
Watch the face.
Білорусь, урочисто клянуся вірно служити народу Республіки Білорусь,
поважати і аховувати права і свободи.
You watching the face? You see how it's changing in real time?
І обороняти Конституцію Республіки Білорусь.
You see that? You guys are watching this live. There's people there, they're watching this technology right now. You guys see that? So that's I'm just giving you like very fraction of all these things that's out there that you guys can research. So that right there, like that right there tells you like the type of technology that they have. So what I'm talking about is not far-fetched. Misinformation and misleading. When you want the truth to stay hidden, reframe it with a little bit of falsehood, repeat it often enough until it sticks, and sit back while it goes viral. You see that? And so that's how they move. That's how they make like the news. Like that's how they slander other people. Like, oh well, he says such and such and such, and then and that script is like sent to the rest of the national TV, and every news outlets are basically saying the same thing. Let me see if I can find like one example about that real quick. Hold on. Let me go to YouTube, see if I can find out what I'm talking about so you guys know.
They've already given me quite a few warnings.
Woo. Oh, there it is right there. Watch this. Okay, so you guys heard what I was saying? Okay, so misinformation. It says, when you want the truth to stay hidden, reframe it with a little bit of falsehood, repeat it often enough until it sticks, and sit back while it goes viral. And so this is exactly how the media works. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this, man. It's pretty wild.
Hi, I'm Fox. San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility.
The news site Deadspin recently produced a mashup video that went viral and unsettled many Americans.
Plaguing our country.
It exposed how America's largest broadcaster forced its local anchors to read an Orwellian script. The Sinclair Broadcasting Group demanded its local anchors recite the same lines, demonizing media and sowing distrust, with warnings like this.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
What's worse, if you actually watch Sinclair's programming, you'll see they violate almost everything they warn against.
So far, no hearings on the big uranium deal.
That's right. That's a Sinclair host promoting the debunked conspiracy theory that Hillary Clinton gave away 20% of America's uranium to Russia.
That could involve
Anyway, so that's not what I wanted to go into. These guys are getting political now, but let's see. But you guys witnessed, right? You guys heard like they basically repeating the same thing. The same thing on and on and on. Watch this.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too.
Now, what I'm about to show you right now, it came out like when people began to expose like the cabal, the powers that be during the Donald administration, and what was going on in the secret by many governments of the world. So and so what the powers that be did is they try to silence like the conspiracy theorists out there on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok about what was going on, when the pandemic took over the world. And so this is what they did. This is the response of the United States government.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets.
See that? What you just saw was like a bunch of zombies basically saying the same thing. See that? Like that everything that we were bringing out was all fake and it was not true information, this and that and the third. But anyways, so I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what I was talking about. So that's what they do. They plan misinformation, then this misleading, misinformation and misleading. The other thing that they do is demonizing the other guy. When we want to take the attention of our own sins, what better way than to focus the public lens on the demons in the other guy? See that? So that's what they did. Fear mongering. This is a big one. For what better weapon against common sense and sanity is there than fear, especially hysteria-driven fear? You see that? We saw this played out recently with the panic over the Ebola, right? And you guys know what happened during 2 years ago during the pandemic. So that's kind of like one of the I just give you a glimpse, right? Just give you a glimpse of like this social media, the censorship, the violation of the Second Amendment to the American population, the American people, and whatnot. And so this is one of the reasons why Andrew Tate was taken down, and from YouTube and all those social medias and platforms. And he actually made a speech, a very powerful speech.
I was thinking for a long time how to start this video, because it needs to be concise and compendious, but I also want it to be very, very comprehensive. And I guess the best place to start is at the beginning. There's been many different versions of my life story, which have been put on the internet as of late and from many years ago. But I'm going to give a very, very quick overview of my story. My life has always been difficult. I've certainly had a difficult life. I preach to the people who follow me that as a man, trauma and difficulty is extremely important because it's the building blocks for mental fortitude and physical fortitude. So I'm very, very happy that my life has been difficult, because it's impossible to become a capable man or a man of my capability without struggling with facing serious adversities, without trying to overcome often insurmountable odds. I grew up in south side of Chicago. I'm obviously a person of color. I was bullied in school to a degree, and my father always taught me to stick up for myself. I was never allowed to run and cry to authority. I was told that if someone wants to mess with you or come at you, you can't always go tell the teacher. Sometimes you have to deal with it. I was actually picked on by these two kids when I was riding the school bus home. I think I was around 5 and they were around 7. They were a bit older than me, and they used to pick on me on the school bus. They'd sit behind me, throw things at me, hit me, etc. And I came home and I told my dad about it. I said, "Dad, these 2 kids are picking on me every single time I get the school bus. I don't know what to do." And my dad said, "I'm not going to call the teacher because the teacher ain't on the bus. And I'm not going to call the school bus driver because they're busy driving. Son, if you want to deal with this, you're going to have to deal with it yourself." And I said, "But Dad, they're bigger than me. What do you want me to do? There's 2 of them and they're bigger than me." And at the time, I'd just come home from school and I was holding a lunchbox. And my dad pointed and said, "You have a lunchbox, son? Teach them." So weeks had passed. It was a few weeks. They kept picking on me, and I felt myself sitting there getting more insecure, and the rage was boiling inside of me. And one day, one of them slapped me in the side of the face from behind. I was sitting on the chair. He slapped me in the face from behind. And instantly, I don't know what it was, but this was the day I had enough, and I turned with my lunchbox and swung it over the back of the school bus chair and caught him and busted his eye clean open. The plastic Batman lunchbox hit him in the eye, and blood started squirting everywhere. All the children started screaming. And as I did this, the bus had just come up to a stop. It was a few stops before my stop, but it had stopped. And as the bus stopped and the screaming happened, I just got up and I ran off the bus and ran home. I've never run so fast or so far in my life. I was full of adrenaline. I just ran. When I got home, I had blood on my clothes, and my dad looked at me. He said, "What happened?" And I said, "That kid," I won't say his name. I said his name at the time. I said, "That kid, he hit me in the face, and I had enough of getting hit in the face." And I was still holding the lunchbox, but it was all smashed up where I'd hit him with it. And my dad kind of smiled a little bit and said, "Don't worry, son. Get in the car." We got in the car and we went to Walmart. We walked up and down the aisle, and he looked and picked up another lunchbox, an exact replica of the same blue Batman lunchbox, gave it to me and said, "I'll buy you as many of these as you need." And that was the last we spoke of it. Funnily enough, I never saw that kid again. I don't know if he changed schools. I don't know what his parents did, but I never saw that child again. So even from a very, very young age, I was taught that going to authority and crying and hoping someone else is going to fix your problems is not the way a man should conduct himself. When I left Chicago, I moved to Luton, England, which was multiple times voted the worst town in England. It's a high crime rate. It's a very bad area. My mother and father broke up, so I was in a single mother household. And now I'm a person of color in a single mother household. I'm also the only American at the time in Luton. And I had, again, repeat problems in school. I was picked on for being the only American. I was picked on for not knowing things I should have known because I hadn't been through the English educational system. I'd been through the American educational system. And I had trouble in school again, but I stuck up for myself. Unfortunately, nothing got violent at any point. But when people made fun of me, I stood up and said, listen, don't make fun of me. I'm from a different place and I talk differently. And I always understood that standing up for yourself, I never went to the teacher. I never cried to anybody else. I just stood up for myself. And over time, people learned respect for me and my boundaries. And they were very respectful of me. And I had a very positive experience from then on out in school by simply standing up for myself, because this is how I was taught to act. In high school, I ended up having a reputation of a guy that nobody really messed with. I certainly wasn't a bully, absolutely the opposite, but no one really picked on me. I actually had a friend in school who was gay. I had 5 main friends in school, and I was also friends with a gay guy. And he would make fun of me for being American, and I would make fun of him for being gay back then. But the world was a very, very different place. This is many, many years ago. And we had friendly banter back and forth, but we were very good friends. And I stuck up for him and prevented anyone else picking on him all of the time. And the banter between us, the locker room talk, which would be considered absolutely unacceptable today, at the time was very, very normal. And we had a great time. We were good friends. And I heard from him, actually, after this ban. And he said, you should mention the fact that the things they say about you completely aren't true. And this leads me on to the reason I believe these narratives have managed to gain such a foothold in popular consciousness. Due to the fact I've managed to develop an iron mind, because I'm probably the only individual on earth who can be vilified to this level without taking personal insult and without being emotionally affected, what I've done is I've allowed certain narratives to gain traction, which I shouldn't have allowed to gain traction, because they didn't personally bother me, because I know they are false. I live with a very, very pure heart. I'm a religious man. I go to church, and anyone who follows me in detail knows I donate huge sums of money to the church. And as long as I knew the truth of my heart and God knew the truth of my heart, I wasn't interested in lies being purported. I now understand that that's wrong, because even though I've done nothing wrong, even though it doesn't emotionally affect me, even though God and myself know my innocence, the public consciousness has been polluted to a point where narratives are being purported which are absolutely and utterly false. And it's having a genuine negative impact on the people who I care about and the people who care about me. And despite the fact it doesn't emotionally affect me, as a man, I have a duty to protect all of those I love. And for this reason, these narratives have started to become very, very harmful. I was under the understanding that on the internet, people don't like you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you say. There's going to be some people who don't like you, and the people who don't like you are not interested in latch onto and accelerating that lie on as much as possible via their platforms to try and paint a negative picture of you because they don't like you. A lot of these attacks against me are disguised under the virtue of caring about women. But none of these people who are attacking me care about women. None of them donate to women's charities. None of them donate to charity like I do. None of them help anybody like this video. Proof of the massive work I do for helping people. They don't help anybody. All they do is just attack me and use fake virtue, the fact they pretend to care, as a reason to attack somebody who they personally don't like. And it's very, very different to actually care about an issue or weaponize an issue and pretend to care to try and damage someone else's life. These are very, very different things. And this is the reason why I have not tried to dispel these myths as hard as I could have, because I understood that these people are always going to hate me and they're always going to lie about me, no matter what I say or do. But considering in light of the final ban, and considering I have the public consciousness, I think it's extremely important that for myself and for my family and for people I care about, that I tell the truth and I make the truth known to the world, because that is the only intention in my video, is to sit and tell the truth. And the fact that I'm a very, very iron-minded individual who is not negatively affected by these smear campaigns is not reason enough for me not to sit, take time, and dispel all the negative things which are said about me.
Anyway, so that was you guys are there? Um, you hear me? Yeah, okay. So that was Andrew Tate basically kind of explaining a little bit before, after he was banned, he sent a message to his followers, and then basically saying like, "Yo, like these guys are lying. I never beat any woman. There was no any sex trafficking, none of that stuff." Because there's actually videos out there where you have like the police coming into his house, and with like everything, like a SWAT team came in to like make sure that there was no like sex trafficking going on. And so he was accused of a lot of things. That's why his bank accounts was like frozen. Like literally they were trying to take him out, and not because he like all these accusations, is because the power that he held when he spoke to his followers, which are mostly men. And so this is kind of like the slander campaign that takes place out there. Even like people that don't even know what's going on, they subscribe to the same rhetoric about, well, yeah, I don't like him because I heard someone say that he was bad, or I heard someone say that this and that and third. And so that kind of a slander campaign takes place in many levels in society, in society. And in the church, even when I was like part of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement, and I began to expose some of their lies, they did the same thing against me, lying against me, saying all sorts of stories, making memes about me, and whatnot. So check this out.
I haven't seen any of his videos. I don't want to. I just know he's an awful person.
I got you. And then where does that stem from?
Being a woman of color in this nation.
So you say you haven't seen anything, you just heard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've never seen the videos either, but I heard he hates women, so I hate him.
So you're just going off of what you heard?
I mean, people wouldn't say that for no reason.
What's your opinion of Andrew Tate?
I think he's stupid.
You see how stupid it all sounds like?
Reason 98% of people aren't rich. Let me tell you something. At 24.
Let me find you another one. Let's see. Videos. So yeah, man. So you guys see like the slander campaign that takes place in many layers of society. Whether it be friendships, girlfriend, like big cats like Johnny Depp and that girl. You guys know what happened. So it happens in many layers of society, bro. So it's not just happening now. With Andrew Tate, it's been going on for many years, but now that we can see like what's going on, we can kind of like bring this out so that you guys can see like, yo, like there's something really happening out there. There's some really powerful entities trying to control the narrative. You know what I'm saying?
I believe that the most important thing you can do as a man is to gain control of your mind. Once you have control of your mind, life is so ridiculously easy. It's so ridiculously easy. People say to me, Tate, you're in good shape. All you do is drink vodka and travel the world. You're never even home. You never even have a gym. How do you do it? It's ridiculously easy if you control your mind. If I decide to do 1,000 push-ups, I'll do them. Maybe I have to do them one at a time. Maybe I'll get tired. Maybe I need a break. I'm going to do 1,000 because I said I'm going to do 1,000. It's not
Anyway, so
hard. Everyone knows what you're supposed to do.
that's his mind, bro. Like if you listen to what he pushes out, it's all about empowerment for men. Just finding your own power. Achieving greatness according to your own self. And so it was kind of like empowerment to the men. And so obviously you guys know the powers that be. How they feel about people with like influence to society at a greater rate. So and that's one of the reasons why also like going back into like Kanye West basically suffered the same thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's going through the same thing. He's being canceled by Adidas and among other corporations, because he's speaking his mind. You know what I'm talking about? It's like you cannot speak your mind, you cannot speak your thoughts, you cannot be free to speak your own mind. Otherwise, the gatekeepers, the agent Smiths, the big corporations that are like acting like a bunch of watchdogs are just there, just watching to see if you're gonna say something that crosses the line. Because if you do, then either you get canceled, you get a warning, or if you're like into the into other aspects of the societal structure, like Snowden, like an NSA or CIA computer analyst, or CIA advisors. If you're at that level, like if you guys expose what's really going on, like you guys are in danger of your lives. So what I'm saying is that, like, the level of censorship it happens in all the realms of society, whether you be poor, middle class, or rich, or whether you work in like whether you are part of a religion, a movement, a club, or whether you're friends with somebody, or whether you're like part of a church, or part of a corporation. All these things take place, espionage and all that stuff. It's just taking place. So and so that's what Kanye West kind of going through a little bit of the same deal. He lost 1.5 billion or something after Adidas ended his career or his contract. All because he was posting anti-Semitic comments, right? Right. 2 billion to 400 million. Whoa, he was removed from the most Forbes billionaire magazine. Yo, you see that? You see that? So they're trying to demonize the brother now. They're trying to demonize and basically destroy his life, right? And obviously, even more so now that knowing that he's a black man, so they're targeting now Kanye West because they want to destroy his life. And so you guys see what's going on. Adidas is canceling him, other corporation is canceling him, and so supposedly his net worth is diminishing from 2 billion to like 400 million. And so it's like, this is exactly how the powerful media corporations work. If they don't like you, if they don't like your stance, like, you really gotta like sell yourself, sell your mind, sell your soul to these corporations when you're in those realms, when you're moving around the famous, amongst the famous and the actors, and the big cats out there, in Hollywood, and the big and rich. If you're moving down those environments, like, it's very difficult not to like fall for these, because a lot of people are what would you call it, enticed, enticed and like seduced by power and all this sort of stuff. And so by you wanting power, like, your power is diminished. So because now you cannot say your own thoughts, you cannot express how you want to express for fear of being canceling. And that's basically what's going on. Like, even myself, like, I have videos that were taken down, very powerful podcasts that I've done, I have brought out like really good information, powerful information about many topics, and my videos get taken down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man.
Well, rapper Kanye West has faced consequences after posting a series of anti-Semitic tweets on social media.
Yeah, let's get some more now. Our entertainment editor, Peter Ford, is with us. Hiya, Pete. This is really serious.
It is serious, but at the same time it's very confusing, because you don't really know what is as a result of the mental health issues that Kanye has, what is just simply attention seeking, what is somebody who's in meltdown, who's not taking their meds. So what's happened over the weekend, firstly, he was locked out of his Instagram account, and that was because of what was considered to be anti-Semitic tweets. Then he kind of revved up his Twitter account, which he's not used for 2 years, but he got that going again, and within hours, suddenly that was closed down again because of an anti-Semitic tweet, one in particular, which was a very threatening message towards the Jewish community. And people picked up on that and said that is not acceptable, and Twitter, to their credit, closed him down again. Now, he probably will get back on again. They do tend to just kind of put this ban on you for a week or so. But what we are seeing, and I said this last week, I said we are seeing some particularly peculiar behaviour. And even friends of his, like Justin and Hailey Bieber, have now distanced himself from him. He did make a reference to Hailey Bieber as having a nose job. Apparently she's never had a nose job. Even if she had, is that an appropriate thing to say? So you don't know where this will go. He gave an interview the other day to Tucker Carlson on telly, and he was very good. I mean, he is odd and he is eccentric, but he spoke about things in a very reasoned fashion. But we're not seeing that on his social media, and very often social media is not a good place for people with mental health issues that are not under control for them to be playing in.
Yep. So, now they're trying to demonize the brother, So what I'm saying, you guys see where I'm going with this presentation is that to show you guys, give you guys a glimpse of how the powers that be work and how they basically control this whole system, And we have like a glimpse, what would you call it? Like a small door where we can talk about these things without saying certain things, otherwise you get canceled or banned. And right now, at this very moment, like my account is like in strike one. So, and I actually never said anything like pretty crazy, It's just that again, there's certain words, certain codes that you're not allowed to say. Otherwise, you guys know what happened. So it's happening to Kanye West. It happened to Julian Assange. It happened to Snowden, Edward Snowden, the CIA computer analyst. And it's pretty serious, man. It's not like
Appears the insanity of the ruling elite is exposed worldwide now. They will kill you. Keep your mouths shut. Behave as sheep. I've had serious, long conversations contemplating whether they're going to try and kill me. I would like to think they're not. All I'm trying to do is teach men to be strong. If they decide to kill me on a long enough time frame, they're going to be successful. But I can't. I don't want to live in fear. Because what did I say in the earlier tenet? If I become a coward, I will live in fear, and it breeds inaction. I won't be sitting here telling the truth. I want the world to know that I'd absolutely never, ever kill myself under any circumstances ever, no matter what they said. I did not kill myself, ever. But that's what they want. They want you to behave as a sheep. And the insanity of the ruling elites is exposed. My father said this in 2012, 10 years ago. Imagine now. I don't want to be seen as a threat to the elites to the point where they believe I have to die. I want to be seen as a positive force for the world. And I'm going to stick true to my mission. I'm going to trust in God because I don't see what else I can do. It appears
there it is right there, man. So, I mean, we can extend this whole thing out, but the main point was made. The powers that be are controlling this entire system. Let me just read this real quick. We're gonna censorship in the United States involves the suppression of speech or public communication and raises issues of freedom of speech, which is protected by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Interpretation of this fundamental freedom has varied since its enshrinement. Traditionally, the First Amendment was regarded as applying only to the federal government, leaving the states and local communities to free to censor or not. As the applicability of states' rights in lawmaking vis citizens' national rights began to wane in the wake of the Civil War, censorship by any level of government eventually came under scrutiny, but not without resistance. For example, in recent decades, censorial restraints increasing during the 1950s period of widespread anti-communist sentiment, as exemplified by the hearings of the House Committee on American Activities. In Miller v. California, 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court found that the First Amendment's freedom of speech does not apply to obscenity, which can therefore be censored, while certain forms of hate speech are legal so long as they do not turn to action or incite others to commit illegal acts. More severe forms have led to people or groups such as the Ku Klux Klans being denied marching permits, or the Westboro Baptist Church being sued, although the initial adverse ruling against the latter was later overturned on an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, case Snyder v. Phelps. The First Amendment protects against censorship imposed by law, but does not protect against corporate censorship. The restraint of speech of spokespersons, employees, or business associates by threatening monetary loss, loss of employment, or loss of access to the marketplace. Legal expenses can be a significant hidden restraint when there is fear of suit for libel. Many people in the United States are in favor of restricting censorship by corporations, citing a slippery slope that if corporations do not follow the Bill of Rights, the government will be influenced. All right, so I mean, there's many many examples of like censorship going back to the colonial governments. For example, censorship came to British America with the Mayflower when the governor of Plymouth, Massachusetts, William Bradford, learned in 1629 that Thomas Morton of Marymount, in addition to his other misdeed, he'd composed sundry rhymes in verses, some tending to lasciviousness. The only solution was to send a military expedition to break up Morton's high living. See, they destroyed his high living. A celebrated legal case in 1734 to 1735 involved John Peter Zenger, a New York newspaper printer who regularly published material critical of the corrupt governor of New York. See that? This is the 1700s, right? You have this printing press that began to print material criticizing the corrupt governor of New York, which is William Cosby. He was jailed 8 months before being tried for seditious libel. Andrew Hamilton defended him and was made famous for his speech, ending in, quote, "Nature and the laws of our country have given us a right to liberty of both exposing and opposing arbitrary power by speaking and writing truth," end quote. Zenger's lawyers attempted to establish the precedent that a statement, even if defamatory, is not libelous if it can be proved. While the judge ruled against his arguments, Hamilton urged jury nullification in the case of liberty and won a not guilty verdict. The Zenger case paved the way for freedom of the press to be adopted in the U.S. Constitution, as founding father Gouverneur Morris stated, quote, "The trial of Zenger in 1735 was the germ of American freedom, the morning star of that liberty which subsequently revolutionized America." See, and this is basically where you begin to see like people like really trying to speak their minds and trying to like speak the truth. But you guys know like there's giants out there, right? This is the 19th century. Beginning in the 1830s, and until the American Civil War, the U.S. Postmaster General refused to allow mailmen to carry abolitionist pamphlets to the South. On March 3, 1873, significant censorship legislation, the Comstock Law, was passed by the United States Congress under the Grant Administration, an act of the suppression of the trade in and circulation of obscene literature and articles of immoral use, quote, end quote. The act criminalized usage of the U.S. Postal Service to send any of the following items: erotica, contraceptives, abortifacients, sex toys, personal letters alluding to any sexual content or information, or any information regarding the above items. See, they were trying to like infringe on like people's love and people's relationship. Like, what if you wanted to send like a letter, like a very erotic letter to your wife back then? Like, because you didn't have emails, you couldn't send a picture back then. So the best way to communicate was through a letter. So what if you're writing a letter to your wife that you haven't seen for a year because of the war? You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is the type of nonsense that we begin to see about censorship going back to the 1960s, the 1700s, the 19th century, the 1800s, and whatever. So it's like it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. The 20th century Wilson administration, the Sedition Act of 1918, right? Public L 65-150 40 Statute 553, enacted May 16, 1918, was an act of the United States Congress that extended the Espionage Act of 1917 to cover a broader range of offenses, notably speech and the expression of opinion that cast the government or the war effort in a negative light or interfere with the sale of the government bonds. You see that? So they were trying to like basically shut down anybody that was speaking against like the wars. Like if you were speaking negative against the war, like you got shut down. It forbade the use of disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language about the United States government, its flag, or its armed forces, or that caused others to view the American government or its institutions with contempt, right? And so that's basically why they try like Julian Assange, because he was basically exposing like the military complex of the United States, but because they committed crimes according to the views of Julian Assange and according to many views of many people that watch those videos that WikiLeaks leaked out and all the documents out there. So okay, so this one is from Franklin D. Roosevelt administration. The radio priest Charles Coughlin started broadcasting in 1926 and entertained an audience of millions in the 1930s, but became increasingly anti-democratic, anti-Semitic. What happened with like Kanye West, right? And sympathetic to Nazi Germany. Coughlin was denied a license when the government first started requiring them for broadcasters, forcing him to purchase airtime from others. He was forced off the air completely when the private National Association of Broadcasters adopted rules banning, quote, spokesmen of controversial public issues, end quote. See, so it's like a complete takeover of like the entire media system, whether it be radio waves or whether it be TV waves, in order to like shut down those who are like actually speaking about like the matters that really matter, things that really matter. On December 19, 1941, President Franklin Roosevelt signed Executive Order 8985, which established the Office of Censorship and conferred on its director the power to censor international communications in his absolute discretion. See that? Byron Price was elected as the director of censorship. That's it. I mean, we can go on and on and on. During the Eisenhower administration, during the Nixon administration, there's another conflict. In later, this is the Nixon administration. In later conflicts, the degree to which war reporting was subject to censorship varied, and in some cases, it has been alleged that the censorship was as much political as military in purpose. See that? This was particularly true during the Vietnam War. The executive branch of the federal government attempted to prevent the New York Times from publishing the top secret Pentagon papers during the Vietnam War, warning that doing so would be considered an act of treason under Espionage Act of 1917. See that? And then we can go on and on and on to the 21st century, the Obama administration, the Trump administration, you know, and then this new administration, the Joe Biden administration. They have hidden away a lot of facts, and that's why you have a lot of censorship that came out 2 years ago by Facebook. A lot of these check bots, you know, the fact checks on Facebook, the fact checks on Instagram, where you have like all algorithm systems in that they call bots, and they basically check you if you're saying certain things that go against, like, you know, the status quo rhetoric. Then either your post is taken down, flagged, or you get blocked from Facebook or Instagram or other platforms. And so now, like, this censorship is here, you know, it's now. And I don't know, it's probably gonna get worse. Who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it's not. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Once your phone is hacked, what is in their hands is not simply your device, it is your future. They're selling our future, they're selling our past, they are selling our history, our identity, and ultimately, they are stealing our power. The screen may be off as it's sitting on your desk, but the device is talking all of the time. The question we have to ask is, who is it talking to? If I get a smartphone and I need to use a phone, I actually open it up before I use it. Anything you can do on that device, the attacker, in this case the government, can do. Before 2013, if you said there's a system that's watching everything you do, the government is collecting records of every phone call in the United States, even for those people who are not suspected of any crime, it was a conspiracy. Yes, there were some people who believed it was happening. Yes, there were academics who could say this was technically possible. The world of 2013, we suspected, some suspected that this was happening. The world after 2013, we know that it's happening. The distance between speculation and fact is everything in a democracy. We have now had the first European regulations that are trying to limit the amount of data that can be collected secretly and used against populations broadly. And we have also seen the basic structure of the internet itself change in response to this understanding that the network path that all of our communications cross, when you request a website, when you send a text message, when you read an email, for so long those communications have been electronically naked or unencrypted. Before 2013, more than half the world's internet communications were unencrypted. Now, far more than half are, measured by just web traffic from one of the world's leading browsers, the Google Chrome browser. The entire world has changed in the last few years. It hasn't gone far enough. The problems still exist. And in some ways, they've gotten worse. But we have made progress that would not have been possible if we didn't know what was going on. Hacking has increasingly become what governments consider a legitimate investigative tool. They use the same methods and techniques as criminal hackers. And what this means is they will try to remotely take over your device. Once they do this, by detecting a vulnerability in the software that your device runs, such as Apple's iOS or Microsoft Windows, they can craft a special kind of attack code called an exploit. They then launch this exploit at the vulnerability on your device, which allows them to take total control of that device. Anything you can do on that device, the attacker, in this case the government, can do. They can read your email, they can collect every document, they can look at your contact book, they can turn the location services on, they can see anything that is on that phone instantly and send it back home to the mothership. They can do the same with laptops. The other prong that we forget so frequently is that in many cases they don't need to hack our devices. They can simply ask Google for a copy of our email box, because Google saves a copy of that. Everything that you ever typed into that search box, Google has a copy of. Every private message that you've sent on Facebook, every link that you've clicked, everything that you've liked, they keep a permanent record of. And all of these things are available not just to these companies, but to our governments as they are increasingly deputized as sort of miniature arms of government.
What about enabling your microphone camera?
If you can do it, they can do it. It is trivial to remotely turn on your microphone or to activate your camera, so long as you have systems-level access. If you had hacked someone's device remotely, anything they can do, you can do. They can look up your nose, right? They can record what's in the room. The screen may be off as it's sitting on your desk, but the device is talking all of the time. The question we have to ask is, who is it talking to? Even if your phone is not hacked, right now, you look at it, it's just sitting there on the charger. It is talking tens or hundreds or thousands of times a minute to any number of different companies who have apps installed on your phone. It looks like it's off, it looks like it's just sitting there, but it is constantly chattering. And unfortunately, like pollution, we have not created the tools that are necessary for ordinary people to be able to see this activity. And it is the invisibility of it that makes it so popular and common and attractive for these companies. Because if you do not realize they're collecting this data from you, this very private and personal data, there's no way you're going to object to it. Once your phone is hacked, what is in their hands is not simply your device, it is your future. But we see how these same technologies are being applied to create what they call the social credit system. If any of your activities online, if your purchases, if your associations, if your friends are in any way different from what the government or the powers that be of the moment would like them to be, you're no longer able to purchase train tickets. You're no longer able to board an airplane. You may not be able to get a passport. You may not be eligible for a job. You might not be able to work for the government. All of these things are increasingly being created and programmed and decided by algorithms. And those algorithms are fueled by precisely the innocent data that our devices are creating all of the time, constantly, invisibly, quietly, right now. Our devices are casting all of these records that we do not see being created, that in aggregate seem very innocent. You were at Starbucks at this time. You went to the hospital afterwards. You spent a long time at the hospital. After you left the hospital, you made a phone call. You made a phone call to your mother. You talked to her until the middle of the night. The hospital was an oncology clinic. Even if you can't see the content of these communications, the activity records, what the government calls metadata, which they argue they do not need a warrant to collect, tells the whole story. And these activity records are being created and shared and collected and intercepted constantly by companies and governments. And ultimately it means as they sell these, as they trade these, as they make their businesses on the backs of these records, what they are selling is not information. What they are selling is us. They're selling our future. They're selling our past. They are selling our history, our identity, and ultimately, they are stealing our power and making our stories work for them. If I get a smartphone and I need to use a phone, I actually open it up before I use it. I perform a kind of surgery on it to physically desolder or sort of melt the metal connections that hold the microphone on the phone. And I physically take this off. I remove the camera for the phone, and then I close it back up, I seal it up. And then if I need to make a phone call, I will attach an external microphone on it. And this is just so if the phone is sitting there and I'm not making a call, it cannot hear me. Now this is extreme. Most people do not need this. But for me, it's about being able to trust our technology. My phone could still be hacked. My laptop could still be hacked. And just as I told you before, the same principles apply to me. If it is hacked, they can do anything to the device that I can do. So my trust in technology is limited.
Yeah, so that was Edward Snowden, an NSA computer analyst. whistleblower, and he's now in Moscow, Russia, just hiding, I guess, because the CIA and the United States government wants him dead, because he basically exposed their agenda. And so, whatever we're saying, it's not far-fetched. It's out there. A lot of research is out there. I don't want to be here for another more 30 more minutes or whatever like. So the whole point is that censorship is taking place. There's a lot of people moving to Rumble. I think it's rumble.com. If I continue to see this bullshit, this censorship going on Facebook or Instagram or other platforms, I'm probably gonna be taken off, and just gonna leave these, YouTube just on so that people can watch whatever I have shared. But I don't know. I'll still I'm still gonna be around. But I think I'm gonna be taking a little bit of a sabbatical again. There's certain things I want to focus on, certain things I wanna work on, and you guys are gonna find out later on what it is. So, but stay tuned for that. Other than that, man, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for being here. Hopefully, you guys were able to take something from this. And once again, I think it's all about balance. Like, I'm not saying that we don't need this digital stuff, because in ways we do to do certain things and whatnot. But yeah, the time is approaching where everybody is gonna have to make a choice, whatever that choice might be, according to whatever is gonna be taking place on this planet much later on, maybe in the near future, who knows. But the way things are been, the way things have been changing, the world is changing so fast. The paradigm has shifted already, right? Very rapidly, very abruptly, very wild, very with force. Especially in these last 3 years, you guys know what happened. So the world was forced to kind of like pay attention to this thing over here, pay attention to that thing over there, pay attention to what these people are saying, because there's a lot of stuff that we said that has come to pass, and there's other stuff that we're saying now that is coming to fruition, and it's on its way. And these things are not to scare nobody. It's not for a fear mongering agenda. No, it's for us to like be able to adjust with the changes with the changes that come, with the changes that are taking place as we speak. And lastly, I wanna leave you guys with John F. Kennedy, because he said some very powerful stuff. That before we leave, there's this movie called Citizen 4. If you guys ever want to watch that, that's about Edward Snowden, which is the NSA computer analyst. So there's this movie called the Citizen 4. If you guys want to watch it, so you guys can kind of understand, it's this one right here. Watch this. Hold on. And then after that, we're probably gonna take off. Right there.
Laura, at this stage, I can offer nothing more than my word. I am a senior government employee in the intelligence community. I hope you understand that contacting you is extremely high risk. For now, know that every border you cross, every purchase you make, every call you dial, every cell phone tower you pass, friend you keep, site you visit, and subject line you type is in the hands of a system whose reach is unlimited, but whose safeguards are not. In the end, if you publish the source material, I will likely be immediately implicated. I ask only that you ensure this information makes it home to the American public. Thank you, and be careful. Citizen 4.
Sorry, I don't know who your name is.
Oh, sorry. My name is Edward Snowden. I go by Ed. Edward Joseph Snowden's the full name.
Yeah, man. So that's the movie that I was telling you about. It's called Citizen 4. Is basically giving you like a rundown on Edward Snowden, the NSA, CIA analyst, computer analyst and stuff. So, it's out there. Check it out. Let me see what else we got.
A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. Now, here are the aims for the United States. 1, greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. 2, higher and then much higher taxes. 3, an increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. 4, wild inflation of our currency. 5, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. Its dissenters are silenced. Its dissenters are silenced. Its dissenters are silenced.
And that's exactly what they do. They silence those who speak against the rhetoric that's spun around for thousands of years. And this is where all the connection begins, you know, when we begin to connect like religion and politics and empires, kings and priests and whatnot. And so we begin to see, you guys are going to begin to paint your own pictures, and you're going to see like, oh, wait a minute, we have been lied, right? And then from there on, you guys know what happens. But the point is that they have silenced many people back then. They still continue to silence others. There's other ones that are running for their lives. They're the ones that, like Julian Assange, that was apprehended and arrested and brought extradited to the United States to suffer torture by the NSA and the United States government and the CIA, all because he was speaking the truth, right? So whenever we speak the truth, regardless whether it be religious topics, whether it be other topics about genetics, whether it be topics about politics, whether it be topics about history, whether it be topics about any other topics, right? Science, genetics, quantum physics, this and that and the third, right? Whatever, any subject that when we're going against the status quo, there's always going to be an opposition by the gatekeepers, the ones that are still enslaved in the matrix, supporting the whole system, right? So, you know, and this is why Andrew Tate, this is why Kanye West, this is why Snowden, this is why what's his name? Who else? I mean, there's been many. There's been many people that have been canceled. Alex Jones is one of them. He's one of the most, I think, everybody knows about Alex Jones. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, and they're out there. You know, these very secret organizations, they're out there. They know this is why they have taken control of the devices, Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot, in order to like create these digital archives of every single one of you, right? Because this thing is approaching to something else, more serious, more. It's more serious, bro. We when we talk about social controlling people, like literally physically controlling humanity. And so now, you know, their aim that's been for years, for thousands of years, is to invade the mind, the brain, the holy of holies, you know, the pineal gland that connects us to source. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. I'm not sure when the next one's gonna be. We'll see. Like I said, I'm gonna step away for a little bit. I need to take care of some personal things, and then yeah, from there, after I come back, you know, you guys probably will see, or I'll decide if I let you know or not. But you know, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.